195.46, but their national qualifying score is a 195.61. For Illinois State, we're looking at a season average of 194.28, national qualifying score of 195.14. So that's great because they want that score to be higher. BYU, on the other hand, averaging a 196.441, national qualifying score 196.615. Although the last time BYU competed at home, they put up their largest score of the season with a 197.225. What do they need to do to reach that 197 mark again here tonight?
You know, at this point in the season, to get those big scores, we know the girls are consistent. We know they're going to get up and hit their sets. We want them to be perfect in the details, hitting every handstand, sticking every landing, no bobbles on beam. In order to achieve those high scores, it has to be a near perfect routine for the Cougars.
Absolutely. Now tonight we will have BYU start off on vault, Illinois State will start off on bars, and then Washington will start off on beam. Each of the teams now warming up on their events. You talked about really honing in on those little details. It's interesting that something Guard Young has said. He really wants them to go for things, right? You don't want to hold back in your gymnastics. You want to be aggressive. You want to be making mistakes, not because you're being too conservative. And that's somewhere they should be at this point in the season, right?
For sure. If we do see mistakes tonight, we want to see mistakes made from really going for it and not from holding back. There's a big difference competing not to lose versus competing to win. And I've been very impressed with the Cougars this season on how they really go big and they compete to win every time.
Well, and BYU doesn't have quite the amount of depth that they've had in the past. Definitely have developed that throughout the season, but what have you thought about just how some of the girls have stepped into their roles, competing different events that or situations like that?
For sure. We have brand new lineups compared to last year. So we have a lot of gymnasts that had to come in and show experience that they didn't necessarily have yet to show. And they did it phenomenally.
Absolutely. Okay, and we wait while the gymnasts continue to warm up. It is going to be an exciting night, and it's one here in the Marriott Center. This is senior night for BYU, but it's not their last meet of the season. They will compete on Saturday as well. But that'll be a noon meet. It's fun to have senior night on a night meet. We have 7 seniors being honored here tonight: Rachel Bain-Heaton, Adeline Reeder, Lexi Griffith, Brittany Vitkauskis, Abby Beeston, Haley Pichu, and Sadie Minor Van Tassel. And wow, what a force Sadie Minor Van Tassel has been for BYU, am I right?
Oh my goodness, for sure. 7-time MRGC Specialist of the Week. She has just been a machine for BYU. She gets up, very consistent, does her skills. I'm very excited to see her compete tonight. Traditionally, sometimes the scores can be a little bit higher on senior night. The excitement's just there. You're really going for the tricks. So I'm excited to see what BYU can put up tonight as they honor their seniors.
Well, and you mentioned 7-time MRGC Gymnast of the Week. She's also a nominee for the AAI Award, which is given to the most outstanding female gymnast in the country. That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's like the Heismans of gymnastics.
It is. Now, Sadie, you watch her gymnastics and she seems so polished, and she is, but it's been a journey for her too. And I think that's important to highlight. She's battled some injuries, and she's really only had all of her skills back for the past few weeks, particularly that double layout on floor, things like that.
Huge double layout floor. I'm so excited that's back in her routine. Overall, yes, big gymnastics from Sadie. She had some injuries last year. Really didn't get to see her much. We didn't know if we'd even see her this season. She was pretty bad. Her body was pretty beaten up, as gymnastics can do. Her husband, she got married this summer. Her husband is actually wrestling a few states away. Big decisions to be made. This was a big sacrifice for Sadie to stay back and compete with her team. And I'm so glad she did.
Absolutely. Some other all-around gymnasts. We have Angelica Labat for Illinois State. Now, she is the first gymnast to qualify for the NCAA championship for the Redbirds.
That is a huge accomplishment. It's very hard to make it as a team. It's even harder to go to nationals by yourself. The way gymnastics works is you have to make it to regionals, and then you have to score so high at regionals, and then you move on to nationals. It is a very small group of athletes that get to compete at that level.
Now for Washington, it's Skylar Killawillem, who's been so big for them. Last year, she was the first freshman to compete in the all-around for the Gym Dogs since 2014. She even has a fun little nickname, doesn't she?
We've been loving it. The Killer Well.
Killer Well. If that's not a good nickname, I don't know what is. It sounds very fitting for gymnastics too. Just an aggressive, fun one, and that's how she is. She's very aggressive for gymnastics, and she hits a lot of routines. All right, now we head to vault for BYU. Up first is one of those seniors we mentioned, Haley P2.
On vault, we're going to be looking for a combination of height and distance from the vault, in addition to a stuck landing. Enters with a nice Yurchenko full. Tons of amplitude on that vault. Such a good start for BYU.
And that's so important to have that good start. They set the tone. You want your scores to build, but you still need that first score to be a good one.
For sure, your first girl needs to be very, very consistent. Oh shoot, and we see there on bars with the fall, it puts a lot of pressure on the rest of your team. In gymnastics, 6 girls will compete, 5 scores will count. So now for bars, there's gonna be some pressure for them to drop that first score. On vault, we're looking at 1 good vault. We can count that. It takes a little bit of pressure off the rest of the team to just go out and continue to compete really big.
And that fall on bars was by Jashelle Hurt. She was originally going to be an exhibition on bars, but they moved her up to be that first spot on bars. So that definitely puts pressure on the other routines because it's up to everyone to hit now at this point.
Yes, they definitely want to be able to drop that score.
Next up for BYU on vault is Elise Rollins. Rollins.
Rollins has a little bit different vault. She'll twist onto the vault. Full on tuck off. Handles it very well. Big step back. That will be a deduction. Typically, a large step back like that will be at least a 10th off. Rollins has a fun vault, though, that starts out of a 10.0. You can see here. Twist onto the vault. Very hard to get that amplitude out of it. Handles it well. Just a step on the landing. Vault scores are vault start values are based off of difficulty level. The Yurchenko full starts out of a 9.95. That is the highest that vault can start. The vault we just seen, however, that is out of a 10.0, and that is a big deal to have in your lineup.
Absolutely. You don't always see a 10.0 start value. So very, very exciting there, and that hopefully helps bring the score still high minus that step, even with that step because of the 10.0 start value. Okay, and we see bars getting underway again for Illinois State. And we will actually move back to the vault where Alex Mason is full steam ahead.
Back to the Yurchenko entry. Oh, beautiful vault from Alex. Again, just a step back on the dismount. That's where we are going to see the majority of the deductions on vault tonight. You are just so high in the air and you're flying out of the sky. Vault is a very difficult event to stick.
And we see a big dismount on bars by Alana Laster. Another big gymnast for Illinois State. She comes up big for them a lot. Now we head over to the beam for our first look at Washington.
Tri-meets are a little bit tricky because typically what we see are in college are 2 teams competing back to back. One team goes and then another team goes. However, the energy is a little bit different in a tri-meet. All 3 teams are competing at the same time.
But in a way, that's more what these gymnasts are used to when they're younger in club gymnastics, correct?
For sure, in club gymnastics, so that is what you're used to. So for the freshmen, it's a little bit nice. By the time you're a senior, sometimes these meets can feel very fast.
Back to vault.
Beautiful Yurchenko half. Does it so well. That is a blind landing. She cannot see the ground until she has already hit it. And she handled that landing quite well. Again, a hop, so we will see a deduction on the landing, but in the air, I saw no deductions.
Here we go again for Lexi Griffith.
Look at how tight her body is squeezing in the air. Again, we'll see the hop. A lot of times, the hop is strategic in comparison to the step. On a step, it's very easy for a judge to see how large your step was. They can compare front foot and back foot. However, on a hop, it makes it a little bit trickier because it's fast. So we will see the gymnast take a hop rather than a step traditionally.
Now, so far for BYU, a couple 9.8s. Haley P2 with a 9.8. Elise Rollins with a 9.85. Still waiting on the official score for Alex Mason. Next up is Sydney Benson for the Cougars.
Sydney is such a strong vaulter. Watch the amplitude she gets on this vault. She is flying, and I love the flare that she does at the end. So on vault, we want to see the arms and body come in really tight for the twist, and then the arms will fly out for the landing. That's called the flare. The higher the gymnast is when the flare happens, the more time they have to find their landing. You can see her landing was a little bit more controlled because of that.
And Alex Mason for BYU on vault, her score coming in at a 9.775. Here we are on bars for Illinois State.
On bars, we're looking for handstands and stuck landings. Great landing there. Unfortunately, we did have another fall for Illinois State in the lineup. Huge bummer. Anytime an athlete falls, it is an automatic half point off their routine. That is a ton as far as gymnastics scoring goes.
Absolutely. Now the aforementioned star for this BYU team, senior Sadie Miner.
Sadie has a huge vault. Yurchenko 1.5 twist in the air. Blind landing, 10-0 start value. Oh, handles it so well.
Really minimizes the hop on that landing as well.
Oh yeah, did so good. Again, that's a blind landing. She cannot see the floor until she lands. So she just has to have such good air awareness to know exactly where she is in comparison to where she will be landing.
And Sadie is the vault captain. That is a strong event for her. Over to the beam, back to Washington. And again, we are trying to show as many events as we can, so appreciate everyone's patience. Here we go on the dismount.
Great dismount.
And for BYU, Lexi Griffith's score came in at a 9.825. Waiting for Sydney Benson's score to be updated, but based on the judges and what they put up, it looks like Sadie Miner Van Tassel scored a 9.9. This is an exhibition.
That was a great vault. It's actually, I feel like it's a little bit harder than the Yurchenko full. That was the Sukahara full in the tuck position. You don't get the same power coming out of that round off, so you just have to create it all in your entry. Oh, she did do a Yurchenko, sorry about that. Yurchenko full tuck off.
And that is Adeline Reeder. Now, again, that's an exhibition routine, so it does not count for the score, but it is great because as a senior, you need to come out and you need to perform for the crowd regardless.
Yeah, so exhibition routines, they're very important for that. They're also just important. We don't know what the rest of the season will look like, so typically top 6 compete for a score. You let your 7th girl go out, compete just for the experience and see how you score. You never know when someone's going to get hurt, going to get sick, and you need to step into that lineup. Back over to beam. What we're looking for on beam is tumbling that goes both forward and backwards, in addition to leaps, jumps, and a turn.
Here we go on the acro series.
Beautiful 3-part series there, very difficult to do. We'll typically see the gymnast do 1 back handspring into the layout. It adds a whole nother level of difficulty by adding the 2nd back handspring.
Prepping for a strong finish here.
Beautiful front aerial. Again, anytime a gymnast does a front move, it is a blind landing. Very difficult to do on a 10-centimeter beam. 4 feet in the air. She handled it so well. Overall, this has been a very good set for Washington. Prepping for the dismount. Round off back 1.5. Sticks the landing. Very good set.
And really holds on to that landing too. You see her go up on her toes, but you gotta fight for it, right?
Yes, you'll see tonight a few what we like to call college sticks. They are not really stuck. You try to just kind of pretend you stuck it and then hurry and salute the judges. Once you salute the judges, your deduction time is over. They're not going to take any more deductions. So if you can hurry and just turn to them, sometimes you can get away with minimizing any deductions taken on your step.
That's part of the perks of college gymnastics. Some of the fun, right? Because you're immediately wanting to go and turn to your teammates and celebrate with them. College gymnastics is very fun and unique in that way. And we go back to the bars for Illinois State. Okay, while she preps, we'll take a look over at beam. Getting some final words from coach as you wait. It can be nerve-wracking to wait. But a little reassurance from your teammates, from your coaches.
Gymnastics is kind of tricky because you have to wait for the judge. You'll see on the judges table, there is a green flag. So you might be ready to go, but you are not allowed to start the event until that green flag goes up and you salute the judge.
And on beam, we are watching Skylar Killowelm, one of those star gymnasts for Washington State that we mentioned previously.
Huge series. We'll see there in gymnastics, your routine starts at a 9.4, assuming you hit all of your requirements. You then have to do skills to get bonus. These are either very difficult skills or skills in combination to get combination bonus. That pass right there between the difficulty and combination bonus, she will receive 5/10 of bonus for it.
And over on bars, we're looking at Angelica Labat. She did just hit her heels on the low bar.
Yeah, so unfortunately that will be an automatic 1/10 off, and it kind of throws your momentum off a little bit, but look at how well she recovered. Came back, huge dismount, sticks the landing. That is exactly what her coaches want to see from her. Beautiful side aerial into the 1.5 off the end of the beam. We don't see that very often. Typically we see the side aerial into a full twist, but that was great, adding the extra half for a little bit more difficulty.
And look at that, 2 back-to-back sticks. We love sticks here. Just really puts an exclamation mark at the end of a routine.
And you know, at this level of gymnastics, at this point in the season, that is what the judges are looking for. They are looking for the stuck landings, and they are looking for the details to be hit.
Now we are on bars again.
Next up on the balance beam for the Huskies, Lauren Thomas.
BYU already wrapped up on the vault, so now it is Washington and Illinois State that are wrapping up on their final events.
That is one of the benefits of doing a tri-meet, is that you just get to go. There's a lot less waiting time as far as you don't have to wait for the other team, because vault is a very fast event. Traditionally, bars is a little bit faster of an event as well, so you can get going without getting cold, which benefits the gymnasts.
Right, less waiting around. And we get the go from the judges for Isabella DeCruz.
Nice handstand there. We do need to see the gymnast within 10 degrees. Front giant right into a shoot over. Whoops, a little bit of a leg separation on that bell. Giant full, hits it right in the handstand into the double back. Tiny step. Overall, a very good routine, just that we will see a bit of a deduction on that shoot over from high bar to low bar. Anytime the gymnast's legs come apart outside of a cast, assume it will be some kind of deduction.
And now Lauren Thomas for the Gym Dogs, anchoring things off on beam.
Ooh. Great recover there. Second foot almost did not make it onto the beam. However, she needed to do the connection. We talked about how bonus works. You have to get difficulty bonus and you have to get connection bonus. Had she not connected the straddle quarter to the split jump, split leap, she would have been missing out on that bonus and not had a 10-0 start value. Every tenth, every half tenth, every quarter tenth in college gymnastics counts for a lot. So we really just want to minimize any deductions that can be taken.
Now looking at some of these events as they've wrapped up, BYU with a 49.2 on vault. They need that 49 to pace where they want to be, a 197. That is just below their season high on vault, which is a 49.3. They scored that against Southern Utah just a couple of weeks ago. Illinois State dealing with some of those falls. 47.575 is what that bar score is looking like for them. Washington State putting up a 49 of their own with 49.125, and that's not including the score from Lauren Thomas. So if her score is higher, we will drop another score, and perhaps a higher score for that, because as we know, 6 gymnasts compete, we take 5 scores. And as we have wrapped up rotation 1, we will step aside and come back for rotation 2.
The ball from the Huskies will be on the floor. For BYU, Abby Beeston, Lindsay Hunter, Alex Mason, Sadie Van Tassel, Alyssa Alvarado.
To the Marriott Center for a Friday night showdown in college gymnastics between Washington, Illinois State, and BYU. We are moving into rotation 2 here in the meet. We just finished warm-ups. BYU getting one last touch in on the bars. Guard Young, their head coach, is their bar coach as well, so you see him very involved on this event. And everyone has different bar configurations and board configurations, but they have it down to a system now.
So it is funny because some teams, when you come to college, these bars adjust, the bar heights adjust, and the bar widths adjust. So as a freshman, sometimes you come in and everyone has to conform to one bar setting. That's a little bit of a transition. And other teams say, okay, listen, we'll do these 3 settings, figure out what works best for you. So it's interesting watching the different teams warm up and what they're able to make work out for their gymnasts.
That is so interesting. It just depends. Just depends on the team, I guess. We're about to start things off on bars. We will have Abby Beeston up first on bars. She's a 5th-year senior. You see the rest of the bars line up getting chalked up right there. Sneak peek over at floor. And back to bars.
So Abby starts off the Cougars with a huge ginger into the shoot over. On bars, if you're just joining us, we are looking for handstands, we are looking for 2 release moves, and we are looking for a huge stuck dismount.
Here comes the dismount. Oh, I think that qualifies as a huge stuck dismount.
Such a great opening set, and our favorite thing to watch, besides the athletes, is guard's reaction on bars. It's a fan favorite. He is invested what we are going to see from BYU's bar team are huge dismounts. They are very highly ranked. They are number 14 in the nation. And one of the reasons is because they bring so much difficulty to their routines and they do it so well.
Now we head to the floor for the gym dogs. And Skylar Kilwhelm finishes up there after a solid routine. You can see her teammates very happy about it.
It's such a good feeling every time one of your teammates hits, because that's just one more set getting you closer to where you want to be.
Coach Gard Young, after being very happy from Abby Beeson's routine, giving some words of advice to Lindsay Hunter. Now, Lindsay has scored her career high 9.875 twice last season. Her season high is a 9.825. She has also posted that twice this season. At this point, she is just waiting for the judges to be ready to give her the okay to go. She hasn't been waiting too long, though, which is good.
Not too bad. It looks like there is a little bit of a discrepancy over the score for Abby. It is a little bit lower. I anticipated something in the 9.8 range for Abby. What we're seeing is more of a 9.7 type score. The Cougars are going to need to come back off that. That kind of puts a little plays a mental game with you when you see those low scores come out after a gymnast just hit a very good routine. Huge Takacha for Lindsay. Shoot a little bit short in the handstand, but really comes back with a great clear hip into the bail. We're looking for another solid dismount here for the Cougars. Huge double A. Gymnastic skills are ranked A through E based on difficulty level. The dismounts we are seeing tonight are E, the most difficult that we will see tonight for BYU. Every one of their gymnasts does an E level dismount. You can see body gets totally straight in the air, knows exactly where that ground is, and just nails it.
Now, Lindsay has said her favorite moment is when you do an amazing stuck routine and have your teammates rush up to you.
It is, it's so fun, especially because coming from club, your gymnastics just affects you. You compete for you. College is usually the first time that you come and compete for a team.
Jane Mack over on beam. She did fall earlier in this routine. We're joining her partway through her beam routine. Needs to finish strong right here.
Good dismount. Step on the dismount, not what she's gonna wanna see. It's very hard to come back after a fall because you don't know if your team is going to need to count that score down.
And the hope is that everyone else is able to step up. They do already have a couple of falls on bars, so for them it's very crucial that they hit the rest of those routines. Over on floor for Washington State, we just saw Lano Navarro, and now we go back to bars for BYU.
Alex Mason is such a machine on this event. Look at how tight she squeezes her legs on every single move, and I love her handstands. She really just nails that vertical position. Big dismount here, double A. Another solid landing. I'm not sure she'll get the stick. You saw she did just the tiniest pogo hop there on the landing. Probably a very small deduction. We're talking 1/4 of a tenth. Overall, though, that was a very good set for Alex.
Absolutely. And it is so hard because when you land with that much power, it's just natural to rebound. You have to absorb that landing.
Yes, it's something they work a lot. It's just being more like a sponge. That's something I feel like BYU is actually very good at on bars and on beam, is just really nailing those landings.
And more congratulations from teammates. This time it is from the Gym Dogs. Now we are back here on bars for BYU. We have Anissa waiting. She has been Anissa Alvarado has been so consistent on bars. She's tied for 12th in the country on this event. 4 times she's hit a 9.925. So she is the definition of consistency for BYU. Although while she waits, it appears Sadie Miner is going to go up. Again, that all-around gymnast we've highlighted. Over to the beam for a moment.
Sadie is just another, again, we talked about this at the beginning, very consistent, gets up, does her set. Huge Ginger right into the shoot over. Looking for another big dismount here for the Cougars. Full twisting double back.
Wow.
Solid landing. Look at that support from her teammates.
That is the, yes, and guard Young, always happy to see a stick, and that is the definition of a stick.
Especially for senior night. It's so nice going out. She's had strong vault, just did a strong bar set. Such a good feeling as your season is starting to wrap up.
It is so fun watching the reaction of her teammates behind her, just excited for her as they are for themselves. And now we see Anissa Alvarado chalking up again. She's the one I mentioned previously. 9.925 4 times, so impressive. Over on floor, we are back with the gym dogs. And this is Ashley Bloom. Bloom is a freshman from Washington.
Big opening pass there with the front flip into the round off that handspring double back. Very hard to do. So hard to get that kind of power to do your double tuck out of a front flip. It's also a very long pass. You have to keep it in bounds. If the gymnast touches the white carpet at any point in her routine, it is an automatic 10th off. And she really handled balancing that distance well. Sadie really set Anissa up here for a big set. Routines tend to build. We just saw Sadie do a great routine. As long as Alvarado does just as good of a routine, she has to score just as high. Toe on, toe off, right into the Maloney. Gorgeous pack. I love how she catches with such good angles. As Kiki mentioned, so highly ranked in the nation, and you can see why here. Everything she does with precision. Big dismount. Oh. Huge stuck landing.
Another stick. More happy teammates, a happy Coach Guard Young, and definitely a happy Anissa Alvarado. Look at her, all smiles.
Anissa has such beautiful body lines in the air. We really want to see that open position. She nails it and then just drives that landing right into the ground.
I know we have replays of these dismounts, but we might have to put together some replays of Guard Young reactions in the future. He is just absolutely loving these sticks from his gymnast, as he should. And now to the beam for the Redbirds. I believe we're going into a dismount here, yes. A blind landing, definitely. Again, like you said, you can't see where you're going, so it can be hard to really nail that.
Very hard to do. Look at disappointment on the athlete's face. I'm sure not the set she wanted, however, very strong dismount. That says a lot about an athlete if they can make some mistakes earlier in the routine and have a strong comeback.
Haley P2 will anchor for BYU. Guard Young loves having her in this position. She is a 5th year, so she brings a lot of experience, a lot of confidence.
Such a huge Jaeger. Did you see the amplitude over the bar? And these handstands, the way Haley does her handstands is so risky because if you fall over, that is a huge deduction. But she just goes for it. That's what we're talking about competing to win and not competing to not lose. Another huge set for BYU.
Haley is the bars captain. She is a senior, and it sure looks like she wants to have a great night on senior night.
Look at how high she is in the air going into this dismount and the control she shows in that landing. Last 3 routines have just been major for the Cougars tonight.
And you can see she spots the ground. She was spotting the ground so well on that dismount. So happy. More smiles for BYU. Now Sadie Minor Van Tassel coming in with a 9.925 on bars. Should be a new career high for her. Now they are flashing up the score for Haley P2, 9.975. We know what that means.
That's so hard when we see that score because that means at least one judge gave her a 10.0. The way that gymnastics works, there's multiple judges. You take the average of the scores that are given out. One judge would have given her a 10.0. One judge would have given a 9.95. So close to that perfect score.
Would have made for the perfect senior night, but you know what? I guess a career high will have to do.
Great dismount over there on beam though. The Redbirds are doing a very good job over there. It has been very loud here at the Marriott Center with BYU putting up those last couple routines. The crowd has loved it. They have done a great job focusing and just staying on the equipment.
Particularly on beam, there's just not a lot of room for error.
No, if you get off even a little bit, it's so hard to troubleshoot.
Now this is the exhibition for BYU, so again, not a score that will count, but Sarah Barron, as she begins, this is a way for her to get just some experience.
Sarah's routine is a little bit different composition-wise, very fun to watch. Huge opening pass right there. We do not get to see that very often. Beautiful handstand, great control, stalled her right into the toe on, half out. Again, a dismount we don't see very often. I love it when we get to see routines with a little bit different composition-wise. Her dismount's considered a little bit easier, which is why she did the difficult stalled her into it. That gives her enough in connection value that the judges will love it.
And here's a look at it one more time.
Tiny step on the landing, but overall handled that routine very well. She's going to be very proud of that set tonight.
Now, we mentioned Haley P2's score. Anissa Alvarado put up a 9.925, so yet another one for her, as we said, very consistent. We head back to beam for Illinois State. It is Angelica Labotte. Her career high, a 9.925 on this event.
Beautiful front aerial, very hard to do on the beam. Beautiful flick lay. Angelica's actually dealing with something a little bit different than her teammates had to deal with. When her teammates were competing, it was very loud here in the Marriott Center. It's almost overly quiet now, wouldn't you say? Floor is done, bars is done. It's very easy to get in your head when it gets too quiet also.
More eyes on you, feels like a little bit more pressure.
Yes. It's just easier to hear your voice when there's not all the cheering around for everything. Great dismount, good set.
And that's it. It's very important just how the Redbirds respond after dealing with some falls and some errors, especially on beam. It's not an event where it's good to be nervous and shaky.
It is hard. We see that. We're looking at scores. It looks like Jay had a fall. It looks like Sophia had a fall. So because they had 2 falls, that means they have to count 1. and it's very hard on morale. As soon as that first fall happens, it's like, okay, guys, we still got this. As soon as the second fall happens, it lets the wind out of your sails a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so important to come back strong and just get up and do your job.
Well, because when you have one fall, you think, okay, well, maybe we can just drop this score,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But with two, you have to take a fall into your total score on that event. So that's definitely difficult.
Yeah, it's a big deduction. 5/10 off a routine is a lot to come back from.
Some final scores coming in for BYU on the bars. They have a 49.45, which will actually be their season best. Previously, it was a 225. So those sticks really paid off for them, huh?
Yeah, that was a huge way to end that rotation.
Now on beam, we are watching Maya Robinson in an exhibition routine.
Even though Maya's routine cannot technically count, there's actually quite a bit of pressure on her right now. Because she had teammates ahead of her fall, that means that as long as she can hit her set, she shows, hey, look, I'm a viable option for this beam lineup.
Right, you want to show that if you were in this lineup, you would be able to hit.
Yes, exactly.
Now she was in the beam lineup 4 times back in January. She hasn't been in it since. So this is, like we said, hopefully a way for her to prove herself, get back in that lineup.
Great landing, overall very good set. Missed one little connection there on the lead pass, but overall good routine for beam. Back to floor. I actually thought we were done with floor. We are not done with floor. There was a very large break. The judges had to have a little meeting. We spoke about how there's 2 sets of judges. If their scores come back too far apart, they have to have a conference. So that's what we just got to witness on floor.
It was such a long break, it did feel like the event was done there for a little while.
Yes, which it makes it hard as the gymnast because you're ready to go. You got your nerves under control. You got your adrenaline locked in. And then you just have to wait it out.
We are watching Amara Cunningham.
Huge passes, nice first pass. Great double pike for that second pass.
Now, you always see teammates dancing in the back, but she actually had her teammates Brenna Brooks and Geneva Thompson help her choreograph this routine. So if they're dancing a little bit more, you know why.
Great set for floor, especially after coming back from such a long pause, waiting to hit that set.
And at this point, Illinois State done competing on their second rotation. BYU done competing on their second rotation. But the Washington State will go ahead and wrap up on floor, and then we will begin rotation 3. We will be back for rotation 3.
demonstration of flexibility. Very pretty straddle half. Prepping for the dismount. Cartwheel gainer full. Great start for BYU on the beam.
Like we said, that starting position is so crucial. Here we go again, into the dismount.
Beautiful body position there. You can see her feet are a little bit far apart, but she is able to click the heels. As long as you are able to click your heels together on the landing, it is no deduction for that foot distance.
Get a little balletic, show first position for those judges. No, the legs were close enough.
Yes. It's definitely smart to have the feet a little bit further apart. It just widens your base. Kind of like balancing a pencil on the tip of a pencil versus a block. So that's why the judges want to see that they're not too far apart, moving from strategic move right into cheating.
And we see Haley P2 taking a deep breath before she gets ready to go. Her career high, a 9.75 on beam. She hasn't competed on beam since Utah State at home. She did fall in that routine. You obviously want to respond well to that.
For sure, there's a lot of pressure on her right now. Not only is there just the pressure of competing in a meet, she's having a comeback from a fall.
And it's senior night.
It's senior night, yes, exactly. Huge vault for Washington.
Washington is great on the vault. In fact, that is their best event. But we will go ahead and watch Haley P2 start her routine on the beam.
Darn it.
Looked a little bit off in that back handspring.
Yeah, so again, Haley's job is to compete a routine with as few flaws remaining as possible. We do not know what the remainder of her teammates will do. This routine may have to count.
For BYU's sake, they obviously hope it doesn't. They've put up really good scores in their first two events, topping some of their season highs as a team.
Beautiful side aerial. Great comeback for the rest of this routine for Haley. We just need to worry about the dismount.
And here she goes.
Unusual dismount, the leap into the side gainer. Does it well. Obviously a little bit disappointed in that set. However, looking at BYU's lineup, very consistent athletes following Haley. I'm confident they will have her back.
Yeah, a lot of experience on beam coming up for BYU. Next is Alex Mason. She is a sophomore, but she competed on beam all last season, and she's competed on beam the last two meets. And just some very, very solid girls that will follow her. We see Sophia McClelland after that, followed by Sadie Minor-Van Tassel. And Elise Rollins will anchor. Back to vault for Washington we go.
Beautiful Yurchenko full, probably the best, one of the best that we have seen done tonight. Tons of amplitude. Really does a great fast twist into a nice open flare. Great score, should be expected for vault.
Well, and that was Amara Cunningham, who has not scored lower than a 9.8 this season. In fact, the last 5 vaults she's done have been a 9.85 or better. So I'd say based off that vault,
oh, for sure.
definitely gonna follow that pattern.
Yeah, that was great. I'm very happy Washington added this meet to their schedule. They've been performing very well this evening.
They have been.
Definitely going to want, as long as they continue doing what they've been doing, this will be a meet that they can add to their regional qualifying score.
Well, and for them, they only have bars left. They just have an exhibition on vault, but again, that doesn't count towards a score. So as long as they can finish strong, they will be good. Now the pressure is on beam for BYU and Alex Mason.
Beautiful flick weight. What I love so much about Alex is that she's always just cool, calm, collected. Alex is exactly the gymnast that you want following a little bit of a trickier set. Gorgeous leap pass there. The gymnasts are required to show at least a 180-degree split in their routine at some point in either a leap or a jump. Great routine, tiny hop on the landing. We should expect a very good score for Alex.
Overall, a great way to respond following that fall earlier. That is what you want to see. Here we go. Back to the dismount. Rotates 1.5, blind landing, and there's the hop that you mentioned.
Does a great job minimizing the hop.
She does.
She had a lot of power. It would have been very easy for her to make a large hop, which would have been a large deduction. Did a good job minimizing that for a smaller deduction.
Now,
Oh,
Madison Kipp a little bit short on that double pike. We are catching her towards the end of her floor routine.
I couldn't tell if her knees touched the mat or not. I'm hoping they didn't,
That's
but
the
it was
hope.
darn close.
That is the hope.
If the knees touch the mat, it is an automatic 5/10 off. This has been a little bit of a disappointing meet for the Redbirds. They came off a very strong meet. They had a very high score coming into this. Both came in very hopeful. So to have to count a few falls and have a few stumbles, surely very disappointing for this team.
Yes, they have to count a fall on bars and a fall on beam as well. Madison Kipp did start off that routine strong. We didn't show that first pass, but as I looked over, she had a solid stick on her first pass, so hopefully that will just be the biggest deduction and everything else was really clean to help out her and the rest of the Redbirds. Waiting on beam is Sophia McClelland, sophomore from California. Her career high is a 9.925, and she's a fun one to watch on beam.
She is fun. I'm feeling very confident right now. She is ranked 50th in the nation on beam, which indicates consistency. Anyone can get up and hit a routine good once or twice. The fact that she's ranked in the top 50th in the nation means that she does it over and over again.
And she's one who looks so confident on the beam.
Yes.
We will see it shortly, but it's not easy to perform on any event, let alone on beam. And you can see it in her face, I'm telling you. She loves the pressure.
Difficult opening mount. Ooh, holds on to it.
Oh.
Whoa. You know, I am not sure how the judges will take that,
That is tough.
because technically that's how she does her dance. However, because it looked like she was falling, they could take the fall.
She
for that.
She fell into that almost.
Yes, on
So
beam, it's tricky because you don't have to just fall off the equipment to get a fall. If your body touches the beam or if your hand touches the beam, it also counts as a fall. So it'll be interesting to see her score and see what the judges decided to do with that. What a great recovery, though. She has just been solid ever since she has stood back up. Big dismount here, back handspring, back 1.5. Oh,
kept it up, hoping that at least That's better than the 915, so that they can drop that, of course.
For sure. I honestly have no idea what to expect as far as this score goes. It could be a decent score with just the step on the dismount and maybe a bobble check as far as the opening move went, or they could have taken the full fall.
Well, and you have to get the judges to agree close enough on the
Yes,
score.
yes.
So if one thought one thing and one thought another, they might have to have a little chat about that. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they're on the same page at least. Just saw Elise Rollins rolling up. Excuse me, warming up. And we head to floor once again. This is Angelica Labat.
Huge opening pass for a handspring double twisting layout. E-level skills, so hard to do.
Now we were unsure if the floor routine we showed previously for Illinois State, if her knees touched the mat or if they did not. Based on the scores, it looks like it did not count as a fall, just a big deduction for them.
Which is fantastic for the Redbirds.
Now we go to Sadie Minor Van Tassel up for BYU on beam.
Beautiful side aerial. What you're going to see about Sadie is that she's going to do very difficult tricks, but make them look so easy.
So solid.
Just like that.
Just like that. Career high 9.9 on this event. She has scored that 3 times so far this season. She really has handled this pressure so well.
Especially she essentially took an entire year off due to injury. And she did not even bat an eye coming back into competition. A lot of athletes, it takes a few meets to get the hang of competing under the pressure again. But she just came in ready to grow, ready to go, and has been a huge contributor for BYU.
Well, and to your point though, she has grown. I mean, her all-around
Yes.
score has grown throughout the season. She's, like we said, put up big scores on beam. She gives her teammates a look like, okay, that was pretty good. We'd say so. We'd say so, Sadie. And BYU waiting for Sadie's score. Sophia McClellan came in with a 9.575.
Okay, so they did not take the fall. Did take a deduction on the mount and the dismount. That was really her only deductions in the whole set, though.
And we go back over to the floor where Jay Mack is anchoring for the Redbirds.
Jay mounted with a huge full twisting double back. Again, very difficult to do. I'm loving the difficulty that I am seeing from Iowa State tonight on the floor.
Jay, just a freshman, but she has been so crucial for that team. Back to the beam for Elise Rollins. She is the beam captain. And another one you want in this crucial type of situation for BYU.
Definitely so consistent. She's actually ranked 7th in the nation. Whoa.
Whoa, uncharacteristic.
I know, I keep jinxing them, I think.
You and I both. It's a broadcaster's curse. There we go.
But look at that recovery, okay. She did such a good job. It would have been so easy for her to fall off on that front aerial. Again, the beam is less than 4 inches wide, very skinny. She ran it back, went up, finished the flick lay. The trick for Elise is she relies on that opening series for her bonus. It'll be very interesting to look at her start value and see if she was able to get a 10-0 start value for that routine.
If not, that definitely has a big effect on the score. That bonus gets her 5 extra tenths, so. And you never want to fall, but knowing Elise, she will come back and absolutely nail that next week.
Oh, for sure.
Now we are on to an exhibition routine on floor, Isabella DeCruz. This is only the second time she hasn't had her score count for the team, or at least had the chance being a part of the lineup, as she is doing an exhibition.
Tons of amplitude on that opening double back. You can see the mat out on the floor. It is called a 4-incher. It is totally allowed out there. Helps protect the gymnast's ankles, knees. It's a long season. These athletes want to stay healthy for the entirety of it. So sometimes they will put an extra mat out there just to soften the blow of these landings.
Abby Beeston on beam for the Cougars, the 5th year. She's competed on beam twice this season.
So solid. Senior night is very fun because a lot of times we get to see gymnasts on events we don't always see them on.
Yes, this is an exhibition, so we are seeing her, but again, score doesn't count, but it's great for home fans to see their seniors.
It is great because in club you compete all 4 events. So all of these gymnasts are very capable of competing on every single event. It's just a matter of making those top 6 spots. So the fact that she can get out there and show like, hey, look, I'm still awesome at beam. It's such a fun opportunity for her.
And Elise Rollins comes in with a 9.625. So BYU's lowest score they will count is a 9.575. Puts them at a 48.6 on beam. They had been getting 49 plus on each event prior to that, but they moved to floor next, which is a very strong event for the Cougars.
For sure. I don't know the last time that BYU had to count a fall on beam.
That is a good question. We need to do some digging because that is uncharacteristic.
Very uncharacteristic, and they didn't necessarily have to count a fall, but the 9.575.
Just a big deduction.
Yes,
yeah.
it is almost a fall. So this is definitely the 48.6 is not the score we'd expect from beam.
Definitely not. They are ranked number 14 in the country on beam, and they're averaging a 49.072. So not usual for them, but again, they head to floor. They're ranked number 12 on this event. It's their best event. Their season high actually was a 49.625, which was 4th best in program history. So they are definitely capable of making up some ground on floor, and we will see them on floor and everyone else in the final rotation of the meet when we come back.
Turn it out. To the left. Take it back.
BYU will be on the floor. IST on the beam and WSU on the bars.
Right foot, let's stop. Left foot, let's stop. Right foot again. Left foot again. Right foot, let's stop. Left foot, let's stop. Freeze.
For BYU on the floor, Lindsay Hunter.
We are wrapping this meet up, heading into our final rotation. We have Lindsay Hunter on the floor for BYU. BYU's first performance on floor here tonight. And here she goes into her opening pass.
start for Lindsay. Lindsay has a little bit of a unique composition. What we normally see is tumbling first. Lindsay actually starts her routine with a very difficult D-level jump right at the beginning. Into the first pass, we'll see her slow down a little bit here. Catch her breath going into the second pass.
Her career high on floor, a 9.9. She has scored that twice this season, once at home, contributing to, again, BYU's 4th highest floor score in program history just 2 weeks ago. Catching her breath as she goes into this final pass.
Round off back 1.5 layout. A little bit wild on the landing. On floor, the rules are a little bit different. You are allowed to take a step in the direction of your tumbling. So on a forward pass, a forward step. A back pass, a back step is called a lunge. It is no deduction. On the other events, a stick is no feet moving. Floor, the lunge is totally okay. No deductions for the lunge.
Hey, congratulations by the teammates of Lindsay Hunter. And she will be done for the night after that. Now she just gets to support her team, relax a little bit, cheer them on. Now we go to bars for Washington, and you and I were,
Oh my goodness, Kiki.
You know what?
This is on us.
This is on us. Listen, what I was about to say is you and I were saying Washington has had such a good meet.
It is true. I'm glad that they added this to their schedule. It's definitely going to up their regional qualifying score. Fall is unfortunate, however.
Well, they did start off with a high score on bars, so you hope that they can drop this score, still do really well, because coming into their final event, they were pacing to have a solid 196 on the road.
And that's still possible.
Definitely.
Assuming that their next 4 athletes hit their sets.
Now Abby Beeston awaits her routine. Very dance-centric this routine is.
The evolution of dance from Abby Beeston.
She's one that has so much fun as she performs as well. Opening pass.
Beautiful front layout, Rudy.
Chest just a little bit down, but again, we see that lunge that you were talking about earlier. You can't see them, but her teammates are sure having fun on the side.
Teammates, the crowd loves this one. It's always fun to see everyone in the crowd dancing along. Ends with a huge double back. Wait until you see the amplitude on this pass. So high in the air, out of the camera range, huh?
So controlled on that landing too.
Great set for Abby Beeston.
Absolutely. Lindsay Hunter put up a 9.75 before Abby took the floor, so we will see what kind of score Abby Beeston is looking at. Another look here at her final pass, the double tuck. So high. She's in frame. We got a wider camera angle.
So high in the air, and as Kiki mentioned, the control she shows on the landings is phenomenal. Even though you are allowed to take the step back, it has to be in control, and she demonstrates that beautifully.
Now we head back to the Redbirds on vault. And again, these events are timed so different. Vault is so fast. So Illinois State actually wrapping up with vault right now.
Huge back 1.5 for Labat. 10-0 start value. We're gonna see a little bit of a deduction on that landing. She typically sticks it a little bit better. You can see she wasn't quite as excited as you'd expect after doing such a big vault. She's a solid competitor, and she had hoped for a little bit better performance than that.
Absolutely, and she is been on the MIC vault first team. She was on that team in 2021. She's placed first on vault in 9 meets this season, so she has high expectations for herself, definitely. Now on the floor for BYU, it is Sydney Benson. Career high 9.85, and she is flying high on that pass.
Another great demonstration of controlling the landing. Great front layout, front full. BYU is exceptional at their front tumbling. You'll see their shoulders are so high as they rotate through the air.
And now she preps for her last pass. She ends with a double pike. Ooh. And she actually fell on that pass last time at home, but
You know, I don't think the hands touched.
I don't think they did. I think they just swiped past her body in a way that looked like they touched.
There's a difference between, there is a deduction called an incidental, like, scraping of the mat.
Right. Natural body
As-
movement
yes.
on accident versus putting your
Should-
hands down because
yes.
you have fallen.
Should that have happened, that is a deduction. However, it honestly was hard to tell. I couldn't tell if the hands touched.
Yeah.
If not, definitely did not have body weight on the hands.
Definitely
Feeling
did not.
confident.
Let's see
She
what
won't
we
get the
have.
fall for it.
Let's see here. Just doesn't quite get the rotation around.
Ooh.
Barely touches the left hand.
No,
Barely
honestly,
touches the
they
left hand.
could definitely take the fall for that.
They can. It's tough to say what their angle was, what real
But
time
there-
was.
Yes, exactly.
It does look like there is a judge right on that side of the floor, unfortunately for Sydney Benson.
Again, another great opportunity for the rest of her teammates to step up. You get to drop one score. So assuming everyone else hits, they will be able to drop that fall.
And Addie Reeder will be the one to answer back to what looks like was a 9.725. Okay, so.
Again, it was a little bit hard to see in real time.
And that's just it. We had a hard time seeing it in real time, so it's very possible that the judges could not.
And would have just given her that incidental deduction. Ooh. Huge double twisting front layout into the front tuck. Unfortunately, she did take a step onto the white. The judge did raise her hand saying, hey, you went out of bounds. So it will be an automatic 1/10 off her final score.
And just some little deductions, it feels like right now for BYU. Nothing
Yes.
too major, but a little bit shaky, which is not what we expect or are used to seeing from them on floor. Not bad scores, 9.75 for Lindsay Hunter, Abby Beeson, 9.825, and we just saw Sydney Benson didn't get a fall. So hopefully, Addie Reeder can put up a good score here.
Preps for her final pass. Front handspring, Rudy holds on great to the landing.
Miss Adeline Reeder on the floor for the student
definitely uncharacteristic. We've seen, yes, the out of bounds and even like
Just some
little-
bobbles.
yes,
Some bobbles
just
almost.
unsteady steps coming
Yeah.
out of passes and out of jumps. I look forward to seeing the remaining competitors we're getting into are just very consistent hitters. I'm just kind of getting them back on track a little bit.
Absolutely. These final girls in the lineup are in the final spots for a reason. They tend to put up big scores, be really consistent. We have Sadie Minor Van Tassel and Brittany Vitkauskis that will follow Adeline Reeder. We are looking at Rachel Bain Heaton, one of those seniors. She will do an exhibition routine on floor, so we will get to see her a little bit later.
Next up on the floor for BYU is going to be Sadie Minor Van Tassel.
And now Sadie Minor Van Tassel takes the floor after Adeline Reeder puts up a 9.775. Now we talked about this going into the meet, but Sadie has a huge opening pass that she has worked back into her routine following injury.
Round off back handspring double layout.
You can see how excited she is about that one.
She is so consistent. I have never seen her not make that double layout just like that. Huge double pike. I think that is what is most impressive about Sadie's tumbling is the amplitude and the way she controls the landing, flying 100 feet out of the air.
Absolutely. It's not that she just has one difficult pass. She has multiple, but she's very in control with all of them. Sadie able to take a moment to catch her breath with a little bit of her dance qualifications. Heading into this final pass for her.
Back 1.5 front full. So difficult to do, twisting one way and then adding a second twist. Such an amazing routine for Van Tassel.
And you can tell by the jumping and the hugging, they are expecting a big score on that one. Another look here at Minor Van Tassel.
Very rarely do we see, we'll often see back 1.5 front layouts. Very rarely do we see the back 1.5 front full because you have to finish that back 1.5 perfectly in order to properly set up for that full twisting front layout.
And as we said, Sadie Minor Van Tassel, she would step up. This was
Yes.
something we knew. The broadcaster jinx was not in effect.
For that set.
It was not, no, not for Sadie. She puts up a 9.925 following that routine. And anchoring BYU is Brittany Vitkauskis. Now, Brittany wants absolute perfection.
I want absolute
Everyone wants
perfection.
absolute perfection
We
from
have
her.
all been cheering on Brittany to get a 10 all season. Maybe we'll see it here.
And she has gotten one perfect 10 from one judge so far this season, getting her a career high 9.75.
Holy cow, the amplitude on that front double full. She is above the judge's head. Back 1.5 front layout, great control on the landing.
Feeling good about this one so far.
Even the control she shows on her leap pass is just phenomenal. A lot of times you will see the athlete do the leap pass and kind of bounce out of it, but she sticks it beautifully.
Well, again, she's searching for perfection, and all of those elements, all of those skills count.
Prepping for that final pass. Beautiful, Rudy. Such good control. I cannot wait to see the score for Brittany tonight.
And as her teammates run on, I see some of them flashing a 10 already. They want it for her just as much as she does. It is so exciting to see that. Another look at some of her high flying, tumbling.
Look at the amplitude here. She is so high in the air and she just controls it so well.
It's not easy to have that much power. It's not easy to control that much power.
And that is, it's a double-edged sword. A lot of times we'll see the athletes that are very powerful have kind of wild landings, and she's really learned how to control that.
Now, following Brittany Witkowskis, we will have an exhibition routine for BYU on the floor. As previously mentioned, that is senior Rachel Bain-Heaton, who you're looking at right now. She has not competed in the floor lineup yet this season. She has in the past. Senior from Draper, Utah. Good for her to get some experience on floor this season. Again, good for her to perform in front of her home crowd. And a 9.925 for Brittany Witkowskis, which is still a great score.
Such a great score. Good, consistent score for Brittany.
Absolutely. And we will see Rachel Bain-Heaton open up her first pass.
Very big free split pass there for Rachel. During the break, we got to watch a little video about Rachel, who I call Megan in at least half the meets. Her older sister, Megan, did gymnastics at BYU, helped her choreograph this routine.
Well, and they paralleled. So much of the choreography was from her sister's routine. So strong family ties here at BYU for Rachel and Megan. It's fun to be able to do that. You see her teammates jumping on the side. And now cheering her on as we head into this pass.
Nice big double back, just maybe a little bit low on the landing, but showed great control. Very fun set in her last floor routine here in the Marriott Center.
Absolutely, and that does it for BYU. Illinois State and Washington already wrapped up on their events. BYU has now caught up with them and finished on floor, putting up what looks like a 49.2 on vault for Illinois State, 48.8. No falls, which is great for them. A strong finish for Illinois State. And for Washington, unfortunately, they had 2 falls in 2 separate routines. So they put up a 48.475, having to count that 49.15.
Still, all things considered, a good meet for Washington. They're going to be very happy they came out. It's definitely, they're going to be able to drop 194, which will be fantastic for them. A little bit disappointing for the Redbirds, however. This was a very long journey to come out with a 192. They have so much potential, this team does. When we look at their scores, they are scoring consistently in the 195 range. Just came off a 195.875. This is not really showing how good of a team they truly are.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really going to have to take advantage of their final few meets to drop those lower scores from the beginning of season and get a chance to compete at regionals.
BYU with a 196.45, scoring in the 49 range, low 49 range in everything except for beam, which is to be expected. If we didn't have quite such a big error, we'd probably be in the 49 range on beam as well. And again, on floor, just a few little things, nothing major, but just a few little things. 49-2, great score, but we've seen them be even more solid.
This is what we've been so impressed with BYU all season long, is that they are scoring so high with some fairly obvious deductions. It just shows you what a good team this is and the overall potential that they truly have going into that postseason.
So much potential, and that's something we said going into this meet is BYU has a lot of different gymnasts competing on events that maybe haven't before this season, and so, you know, as you head into the postseason, you hope you just clean up those little errors, but at least they're little errors to clean up.
Yes, we're not looking at, oh, I hope you make your set. We're looking at, I hope you make your set near perfectly.
Absolutely. And Sadie Minor Van Tassel with the all-around score for BYU of a 39.525, which actually ties her career high that she set earlier this season. So that is definitely big for her. Some big scores. She's 8th in the nation in all-around, but that beats her average. She's averaging a 39.4 in all-around, so.
I anticipate her taking home another week of MRGC Gymnast of the Week.
I think that might be the case.
MRGC Gymnast at this point.
Yeah, they need a different award. We got to spice it up somehow. She's 7-time MRGC Gymnast of the Week this week. We anticipate an 8th, absolutely. And for myself and former gymnast Mikkel Merkley, we thank you for joining us here on BYU TV. And we thank everyone in attendance, watching, and of course, all those in our production. BYU walks away with the win in this one.